Welcome to BioTrack Training. In this module we're going to take a look at agricultural enterprise management. You'll find it under agriculture, the second block of submenus down, agricultural enterprise management. There's several aspects in enterprise management. One of them is obviously a comparison between the inputs and production from a particular asset as part of an enterprise, but also the other aspect is what assets do you use within an enterprise. So it's not simply a question of calculating the profitability of a particular enterprise, but you have to calculate the profitability of the enterprise based on the amount of assets that you're employing. So if you're using huge amounts of land and you have a very small profitability, then it gives you the ability to ask the question, should you actually be engaged in that enterprise? And that's what enterprise management is really about. So ensuring that you get a reasonable return from the assets that you're using. So it's not just inputs, outputs, but also an analysis of what assets are you using. But we'll first look at the land use for a particular enterprise. Now, enterprises will use different parts of your land at different times as they come in and out of production, as you rotate land. And this needs to be maintained. Let's say, for example, we're looking at fruit production. Which land parcel? This land parcel. You have to say when the land came into use. Let's just say last year, and its end use date. You put in some date in the future for this. So now you've associated this piece of land with this enterprise. So this particular field is 1.5 hectares you've associated with this particular enterprise, and you expect to be doing that from 2010 to 2014. So that creates a piece of land use versus an enterprise. And go back. We can now look at input allocations. So all the inputs that come in, they may be inputs from your own land, or they may be inputs from outside the farm. But regardless of that, you need to create a usage for an input. So you might buy 1,000 bales of hay, you might use 800 of them for dairy, and you might use 200 of them for egg production. You have to divide those inputs between those two enterprises. Let's say dairy, the input reference, 200 bales of straw. You used 80% of this input for that enterprise, and you can just put a note if you want. 160 bales to dairy, and the input date was, let's just say, the 1st of August. We'll create another one. Egg production, 200 bales of straw. You use 20% for egg production, the same consignment. 40 bales for egg production. Second of August. So there you go. Now in this way, these 200 bales of hay were divided between 180% to dairy, 20% to egg production, and that allows you to manage your inputs a lot more simply. So instead of having to divide an invoice, all you have to divide is the percentage of utilization of that input. So you say 80% went to the dairy, 20% went to eggs. That's it. You don't have to do any more. BioTrack looks after the rest. Finally then, analysis management of the enterprise. Here you can see is a report, and you can take a look at each of these as you wish. Here's a report divided by enterprise. So this is the dairy enterprise. You can see all the inputs and production. So you can see the cost of the bales. You saw that we just allocated 120 bales, and it's already allocated the cost. It's broken down the invoice and allocated the cost against the dairy enterprise. If you look further down, you can see egg production, 200 bales of straw. It's allocated a percentage of the cost, 20%, against egg production. So other inputs you can see over the months. You can see the costs, and you can see the production values coming in. So the costs are expressed as negative minus figures, and the production is expressed in positive figures. If you look at the very end of here, you'll see the total net value of the enterprise. Currently, this enterprise is making a loss. It's been in operation since it's been in operation since January 2011. Until now, it's made a loss of £1,534 76 pence. For egg production, this is making a profit. You've had a lot of production with very little costs. Fruit for jam production, this is making a loss. You've had some very high costs, organic fertilizer used for fruit plants, and you've had quite small production. Hay production, you've had an input, but you haven't had any profit. And lamb production, you've had inputs but no profit. So this will show during the year how each enterprise is going. You can divide this report using the action button by year, by enterprise, by input, by output, any which way you like to show it. If you need to adjust any of these, you can go in and alter these values. You can say, okay, we didn't actually spend that much, and you can reduce that amount by 200. That immediately impacts on your enterprise analysis. You've got complete control over this. And that's basically agricultural enterprise management. Thank you.